Okay, now we're just okay. So we are on equip 1, right? We didn't go over that. Is that what you just told me? We didn't go over any of these.
1 through 6.
We went over 1 through 3 in class.
Yeah, we
1 through
did. Oh, yeah, we
3.
did.
That's
Sorry,
what
yes.
makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
4 through
Okay.
6 was.
Okay, so now we're on equip 4. Not equip. Yeah, equip.
Yes.
Equip 4. So, oh wait, that is chapter 6. Does not make sense. So when we say the moral law exists, what does that mean? Yes. Yes. Everyone, everywhere, have a fundamental sense of what is right and what is wrong. What are some things that we can't not know? Yes.
That murdering innocent people is wrong.
Like murdering innocent people is wrong. All of these are things that are wrong and that we can't not know that they are wrong. Yes. Oh, I thought you said murder is better than cowardice. Which I don't see the good thing there. Courage is better than cowardice. Yes. What else? What else? Yes. Love is superior to hate.
That's all I have.
Lying, treachery, betrayal, unfaithfulness. All are things that we can't not know. There are many reasons we know that the moral law exists, but for now, write down the 8 reasons presented in on page 172, and they are these are what they are. The moral law is undeniable. We know it by our reactions. That's the sentence. If someone tells you that doesn't, that's not wrong, and you do it to them, yeah. People know, they know it's wrong. They may do it, they may say it's not wrong, but when it's done to them, then they know it's wrong. So that's how we know it's wrong. We know it by their reactions, not by their actions. And then it is the basis of human rights. And every human being on the planet wants to be free. And if you don't believe that, go to a closed country. The closest I got to a closed country was, I was in East Germany. That's a closed country. I was in East Berlin. That was close. But I was so taken. This was like the nascent stages of my love for history. I didn't love history in school until 11th grade, but in 10th grade, when we went to Berlin, West Berlin was free. There's no longer an East and West Germany, but West Berlin was free, and it had a wall all the way around it. Not to keep the West Berliners in, but to keep the East Berliners and the East Germans from going to West Berlin and to become free. And the Soviets, the Russians, did that, built that wall. And the entire part of Berlin, I used to think before I went to Berlin, I thought that it was like right on the border of West and East Germany, and West Berlin was in West Germany and East Berlin was in East Germany. That was not true. In fact, we had to travel at night because the East Germans didn't want us to see East Germany, to see the poverty, to see how people were living, right? And so we had to travel there by train by night. And so we were completely in East Germany. We did go to East Berlin. But two things happened that were really instructive to me as a 10th grade student. The first one was we went to Checkpoint Charlie. Checkpoint Charlie was one of the gates into from East Berlin to West Berlin or West Berlin to East Berlin, and there were several of them. But this is the American one. The Americans manned that checkpoint, and there's a museum there, and so I went to that museum, and I was just fascinated. It told the stories, and I love stories. I didn't know that now. It told the stories of people who either tried and failed to get into West Berlin, or those who were successful. And the one that just grabbed me was this guy who bought a very small car. And then he lowered it as much as he could to the ground. He took off. It was a convertible, and he cut off the windshield, and he put his girlfriend in the back seat. Had her lie down in the back seat. He put his girlfriend's mother in the trunk, and then he took the wheel and he leaned over onto the seat, and flew under the arm of the East German. There's pictures of that, and I saw, and the picture of it is, and he went through under both gates, and then he turned around, he took off his hat, he was combing his hair, and is sticking his tongue out at the East Germans and the Russians on the other side.
They couldn't shoot over, could they?
No. That would have been World War III. So no, they couldn't do that. And I was just fascinated by that. And I realized every human being desires to be free. The other story from that trip to West Berlin was so we went there, we stayed with friends that we'd known for forever. My father had worked with this guy before, I'd known them for sure since I had been in 4th grade. But my parents had known them even before that. I mean, the military is kind of a small family, and people know people, and you get stationed with other, people, and I called so many people aunt and uncle that weren't actually related to me because of that, and we called them aunt and uncle as well. And so he arranged for our family to go to Potsdam in East Germany, and it's the place where it isn't the place where the treaty was signed after World War II, but the armistice was signed. And FDR was there, and Winston Churchill was there, and who was it? Was it Lenin or Stalin was there? And so he arranged for us to go to that very place, that very building where that happened. And again, my love for history is just like in its infancy. And so NATO said, because my dad worked at NATO, the East Germans said, they asked for permission for General Colliday and his family to go to Potsdam. And they said that the East Germans, the Russians, and the Americans all had to agree to it for my father to go into East Germany. The Russians went, sure, bring General Colliday to East Germany.
You won't leave.
And the Russians said, sure. East Germans, Russians said, sure. NATO said, ain't no way you're going. So they said if they can only come in if General Colliday comes in. And so we were like, okay, we're not going to Potsdam. But our friend, Colonel Dukes, was like, let's give it a shot. If they say no, we turn around. And so we show up. I remember going over this big bridge, and I remember seeing these 2 huts for the soldiers that are allowing people in and out. And on the right was the Russian hut, and on the left was the East German hut. And our friend was fluent in both German and Russian. And it was, this is interesting. I used to teach this to my students in history at Miller North. It was the Russians that gave us the okay to go into East Germany. That would be like the Canadians
So
giving someone permission to come into the United States. So that tells you something about being a client state, right? Being you're not free. You're being ruled by another country, and that was the case. And we were able to go in because he was fluent in Russian and German, and he white lie and said that Colonel Holiday felt ill. She felt and just this morning, and he can't make it. But can his family please still sponsor him? And they said yes. So we got to go. I played the piano.
well, that's cool.
Yeah, a Chicago song. So
Oh, just spit in the face.
Yeah, no kidding.
So all of that to say that people want to be free. They want to be free, and they know when things are wrong. They know what is right and wrong. They might not live it, but they do know it, especially when it happens to them. So, did we do all of this, or did we stop it? Okay. So, what's another one? For number 6. One of the reasons that the moral law exists now. Write down the 8 reasons presented on 172. We need to go through it. Okay, here we go. It's what? Oh, I'm pointing to you. That's true, but that's not one of them.
What? Yes, it is.
That was one of the ones.
Maybe I can't read my own handwriting.
Hold
Oh. Okay, I'm just going to read to you the ones I have.
on.
Oh, that's the first one. I thought we already said that.
Yeah, we're on.
We stopped at 5. Like we finished 5.
I have that one as the first
We're
one.
on 3. Or
The moral law is undeniable. We know it by our reactions. It is the basis of human rights. It is the unchanging standard of justice. It defines the real difference between positions, like Mother Teresa and Hitler, right? We only know that that's weird because we know who they were, that they were completely different types of people. Since we know what's absolutely wrong, there must be an absolute standard of rightness. Because you can't have something wrong unless there is something called rightness. The moral law is the grounds for all moral and political dissent. And if there is no moral law, then we wouldn't make excuses for our own behavior, right? You're late to class, right? And you say, oh, yeah, well, I had to talk to Mr. Hood for a little bit, and you make an excuse, right? It might be true, it might be false. But if you didn't think it was wrong, you just walk in and sit down, right? So we all know that. Okay, in your own words, so now you get to talk. In your own words, explain why the moral law is undeniable. Yes, Ellie.
No, we did this last one. I said everyone values their right to have a right, even when they say absolute values don't exist.
Exactly, yeah. Even those who claim there are no absolutes value their right to claim that absolutely, right? And when their rights are denied, they protest. So there must be absolutes. And they believe it. They just don't know they believe it, or they know they believe it in their life. In your own words, explain why our reactions help us discover the moral law. Yes.
Because we expect to be treated by the moral law, but we don't expect ourselves to treat other people that way.
Yeah. when we're treated unjustly, we protest, and as we should when we're being treated unjustly. But that just shows that that they really do believe that there is such a thing as justice and rightness, and something as a thing as injustice as well. So the moral law is always evidenced not so much by our actions, but it is from our reactions. Number 9. Wait. How far did I tell you to go?
Stop.
Jump to 6. Okay.
Yeah,
Number
we
9.
should have
Oh.
read all of this.
Okay.
So we should know like the answers.
Okay. Okay. So now you're going to finish you're going to have to finish to 14 now, and you have the rest of the hour to work on that. And whatever you don't get done, it's homework. We'll start with that on Monday.